I'll tell you what happened. We got a couple pictures we got to go over first. All right, we have a couple pictures to go over here. This is the aftermath of an out-of-battery detonation. So in this first shot, you can see that the receiver pretty much just blew out, taking some of the rivets with it. Sheared one of them, which is pretty impressive. Then in the second picture, we have some damage done to one of the locking lugs on the trunnion. In this final picture, we have a piece that actually broke off. Probably when the receiver went, just took it with it. So we're going to go on and we're going to look at the action and see what possibly could have caused this. Here's my semi-auto PKM build. What could have possibly gone wrong? Well, let's take our semi-auto. This is a hammer-fired build, mind you. So this thing blew up out of battery. Somehow it went off about, I want to say, right there. So how could that possibly happen? Well, pull the trigger. Maybe I was a little bit too soon on pulling it. Look at that. It contacts the firing pin before this thing's even in battery. Let's back up just a second though. Why is that even possible? Well, as this bolt carrier group moves forward, the bolt is going to hit the barrel. As it hits the barrel, it's stopped. As the carrier continues forward, there's a little cam on this, and it rotates the bolt into lockup, and into battery basically. This guy went boom boom about right there and took a little section of the locking lugs off with it. So there's a very important piece that's missing here. This is basically an upside down AK. So how do I prevent this from happening? Well, Mikhail Kalashnikov actually had a pretty good idea about this. So we're gonna cut to an AKM right now. Again, a PKM is an upside down AK. So they're basically the same thing. A little different, but basically the same thing. So let's put this guy in about the same position the PKM blew up. Pull the trigger. Oh, wow, well that didn't contact the firing pin. I wonder why. Oh, well we have a thing called a carrier tail right there that interferes with the hammer. It's a very, very important piece. And the whole goal of it is as the bolt, remember that bolt stops, as the bolt rotates in the lockup, this carrier tail is going to interfere with the hammer until it's rotated all the way into lockup. Now that it's rotated all the way into lockup, it's able to, firing pin has clearance and it's able to go pow pow, pew pew, outside, not out of battery. Alright, so you might ask yourself, how in the fuck do I put a carrier tail on a PKM? Well, it's actually quite easy, especially if you can weld. So, we have our bolt carrier group right here. So wait and see when that's in focus. So it's going to be pretty much be centered right about there. So how far does it have to stick out? Well, how do I measure that? Oh, well that's pretty easy too. So if I can get back in here. Alright, so we're basically just going to move the carrier back, and as soon as that starts rotating, we're going to take our dial calipers and we're going to measure from the back of the bolt carrier all the way to where the firing pin is, and add a couple thousandths on top of this because this has a shit ton of the way to move out of the way. Even 50 thousandths past that. Again, I can't see this because it's on camera, but from the back of the bolt carrier to about 50 thousandths past the back of the firing pin. So there's an imaginary carrier tail under this, and so oh well, it can't go off now because it's blocked. So you might be asking, well, James, I thought you built AKs. Like, why did you not put a carrier tail on this? Well, I'll tell you why. I listened to some guy on a forum. He's built quite a few of these. If you have a semi-auto PKM that's hammer fired, I'm not going to mention names here, you might want to check if it has a carrier tail. I highly recommend that because this was a very, very expensive fuck up. In fact, now it's just an experiment gun. This trunnion has some damage to it. I'm curious if it'll blow up or not, so I actually screw built this. Now tell me that's not ghetto for a PKM. You know, but it'll be kind of fun to watch us and then have some up close looks on what the locking lugs look like afterwards. I don't know what I'm going to do with this. Maybe put it on the wall of shame. That's what I get for listening to other people, even though I knew better. But there you have it, guys. You have the reason of a carrier tail on an AKM. You now have a pretty solid way of measuring it. And if you check your AKs, there's actually quite a few AKs out there that could have an out of battery detonation, which is quite scary. So measure your carrier tail and make sure it interferes with the hammer until the bolt is fully locked up into battery. Anyway, you guys have a good one. One last note on this thing right here. So an out of battery detonation is quite a dangerous thing. I mean, this receiver still looks pretty fucked up. This is kind of a joke right now. But you know, kind of pretty much any gun you're building or working on, you have to kind of run through the order of operations of the firearm. And you have to see if it's possible to have an out of battery detonation with that gun. That means that the hammer is able to contact the firing pin before the thing's locked up. If that happens, you have to come up with a design. So like Uzi Model A, that gun can have a out of battery detonation, but it's 9mm, so it ain't so bad. Uzi Model B, they fixed that with a safety. The firing pin can't go forward until it's all the way in battery. But it's kind of a thinking man's game when you're building guns. You have to be safe. Anyway, you guys have a good one.